SGA comes in second, Luka third, Brunson, and then Tatum coming in at 5. I argued strongly to move him up. Didn't happen. Here's Joker on winning yet another Most Valuable Player award.
Tatum was not in the top 5.
I cannot control. I mean, I can control it, but I cannot control it. So if they're gonna put me in that conversation, and it's been 4 years now, so I think I'm kind of used to it. So I don't even pay attention anymore. To be honest, I like the last year when I didn't get it, and then we won a championship, much better.
Okay. So this is the company that he's in now with 3, Magic, Bird, Moses, Joker. He also said he liked it last year. I mean, a little tongue-in-cheek.
Guys, I just want to pause real fast. Guys, I said this in a previous video. This is how we know the MVP award is nonsense, okay? Michael Jordan, Wilt, LeBron, Magic. I mean, guys, they should each have like 10 MVPs. Michael Jordan, whether you think MJ is the GOAT or LeBron is the GOAT, doesn't really matter, because if you believe one or the other is the GOAT, they should each have double whatever the MVPs they have, you know? I mean, so it's just silly, right? It's absurd. So this whole idea that this really means much of anything is comical to me at this point.
Cheek there, bro.
Yeah. Let that
doesn't
sink
win
in.
the MVP,
Yeah.
but wins the championship. Does winning MVP put more pressure on it?
It has to. I'm going to quote Mike Tomlin. The standard is the standard. It's not unfair. It is actually patronizing to not hold him to the standard. The standard of being an MVP, of being a multi-time MVP, and now being in that hallowed group. Those are 7 of the most legendary legends ever, plus I think the most historically underrated player ever in Moses, and now and Joker, who, because I don't think a lot of people would consider Moses a legend of the legends like Bird, but if Moses was the worst 3-time MVP ever, and so now Joker's a part of it, and he is also already a part of some unfortunate groups when it comes to when you win the MVP, how do you do? If we show you complete list of guys the last 40 years, I guess we don't have full screens. Right. I'll just tell you. My apologies. The complete list of guys the last 40 years to be swept the season they won MVP. Joker already, and Magic in the finals going for a three-peat when he got hurt. Magic got hurt 5 minutes into Game 3, got swept. But that's it. You talk about the fewest playoff wins the season you won MVP. It's happened 7 times where guys win 4 or fewer. 2 of them are Joker already, and now this year, if they get swept, it happens again.
I mean, you're okay.
Go.
No, you're just kicking around like they're going to get swept. It's very rarely that the.
Okay, no,
it's more likely that he does not get swept than he gets swept.
Vegas says it's an exact coin flip.
I don't care. I do not care one iota what Vegas says.
Hold on.
1 iota.
Okay, that's fine. But he's already, maybe you misunderstood what I said at the beginning. He already has been swept.
That was the Jamal
So
Murray.
you are saying the pressure for this year.
Of course.
Okay.
He's the MVP. It's round 2 against a team led by a 22-year-old. Of course. Would there be a lot of pressure in this situation on pick anyone else on that list?
Well, okay. I feel you.
Yeah. Okay. So, absolutely. I mean, he's absolutely right in this regard. You know, he really, really is. Especially this year, more than anything. I don't hold his feet to the fire for some previous years, because it takes time for himself to develop as well as the other team around him. You know, specifically Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, whether Jamal Murray needed some time to develop, which he did, as well as his career got derailed a little bit from injuries. You know, all those things matter that I do not hold his feet to the fire for that. Nick Ray always talks about being consistent. Like, I'm actually consistent in that regard. I don't hold Joel Embiid's feet to the fire for his previous years, and I don't hold Jokic's feet to the fire for that. I don't hold LeBron James for not being able to win a championship in his first stint with Cleveland. I really, really don't. You can only do so much. You need talent around you. Look what Magic Johnson had. He won with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, who has the most MVPs. Those things matter. You know, Michael Jordan obviously had Scottie Pippen and lots of other guys. You know, LeBron James did need Dwayne Wade, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Chris Bosh. Like, you know, he needed those players. Everybody needs players. Steph Curry wasn't winning a championship without Klay Thompson and Draymond Green. It's just not happening. Even that other year without KD, you know, a second championship without KD, he needed Andrew Wiggins. There was moments when Andrew Wiggins took over the game. That was needed of them, especially because Klay Thompson was not the Klay Thompson of the old. So I just don't hold his feet to the fire in that regard. But I do get holding his feet to the fire this season. That I do. Because you are supposed to be the MVP. You are the MVP. And your team is supposed to be unbelievable. You were fighting for the first place in the West. And now you are. You're getting smoked. You're getting run out of your own building by this youngish. They're both young and mature and old for the Timberwolves. And you're getting run out of the building by them. You're getting embarrassed to the point where some of your players are screaming at the refs, throwing things at the refs. Your coach is losing his mind, you know? So I do think that Jokic should be held responsible for that to a degree, but it's not like you could say, if the Nuggets lose and get swept, you can't say, well, they lost because of Jokic. See, that's the issue that I always take with a lot of these things. LeBron James lost against the Warriors that first year, and then even the next couple of years versus KD. Is it because LeBron James wasn't good enough? You know, a couple games, I think he scored like 50 points. Like, what did he have to do? Score 65? 75? You can only do so much as an individual player. I mean, like, seriously. Some of these guys, let's say they put up 35. Let's say they have an amazing game where they put up 50 points, which obviously is great. You still need another 50, 60 points from the other guys. You can only do so much. So I just don't think it's fair to put all that responsibility on one player, all the blame. Just like we talk about with quarterbacks, it just seems like they get too much credit for when they win and too much blame for when they lose. Now, of course, sometimes it is the individual player, especially in football. It is because that quarterback threw 9 interceptions, can't throw the ball down the field, throwing it at people's feet. And other times it is Patrick Mahomes being magical, Joe Burrow putting his head down and barreling through, 10 defenders. So, like, sometimes it is the reason why they win or lose. Just like sometimes Jokic is the reason why they win or lose. But it's not always. It's not always. And sometimes you just get beat. And it doesn't mean that it's your fault in the sense of, because sometimes when we blame a player, that means they could have done differently. Right? Jokic only had, I think, 16 points or whatever it was. But he could have had more. And because he didn't have more, they lost. That is a notion that I reject. Sometimes you just get beaten, even when you're a great player. The Timberwolves just beat Jokic and the Denver Nuggets. It wasn't a failing on the Nuggets or Jokic in that moment. They were just beat. And it's that simple to me.
But the last 8 MVPs have failed to win the title that year. All right, and 9 of the last 10. The last one to do it was Steph in 2015 to win the MVP and the championship that year. I'm an MVP voter. And MVPs, it's obviously part of your overall greatness, but it's not the end all. Shaq and Kobe have 1 each. They're both, Kobe's definitely in the top 10 all time. Shaq is right there, arguably. Yes. And Steve Nash has 2.
But the fact that he's got 3.
No, my point is that you can't just say because you have certain number of MVPs, you got to do this. Because Steve Nash got 2 and never even played in the finals.
No, I agree. But don't you think that it's fair to say that it's one thing to not win the title. It's another thing to go out in round 2 as the favorite.
I don't really. That's fine. I'm just saying he's already also. Look, Wilt won 2. Has what? 5 MVPs.
Yes.
He won 2 championships, 5 years apart. The second one, he was the 4th leading scorer on the team. Yeah. Now he was still very good with those Lakers, but he was the 4th leading scorer.
That's kind of haunted him.
But my point is that this grouping,
It's definitely haunted.
he needs to win more championships. But like you said, Moses only has one.
Yes.
And he went to another finals, but he has his one with Dr. J. Moses went to that team. Philadelphia had been to the finals the year before and lost to the Showtime Lakers in 6. And let me throw this at you, a positive for Joker. Because I'm just saying it's balanced out. Joker is the only MVP ever to win a championship without an all-star starting teammate.
Yes.
The only, so that's a check, positive check.
100%.
On him. No one else.
It is, but to be very clear, Jamal Murray is an all-star caliber player. He just is. And if you don't think he is, at least during that finals, during that championship run, he was clearly playing like an all-star. He was playing like a Hall of Famer. So the fact that he wasn't technically an all-star is irrelevant. It's one thing if he did it with players who were not playing at that level at all, then I would say that's impressive. But if the dude is averaging more points than Dwayne Wade, but he just so happens to not be an all-star, it means nothing to me. He averaged 32 points against the Lakers. Those are Hall of Fame numbers. Okay? So it's just, and he was averaging over 20 for that playoffs run as a whole. I think it was like 22 or 24, whatever it was. So again, that is all-star level numbers. No question about it. So just because he wasn't officially voted as an all-star is just irrelevant. It just is irrelevant. It really, really is. And again, then why not use that to help out someone like an Embiid? Or even when you're talking about LeBron James with his first stint with Cleveland. They're playing with players who are nothing, so I understand what Brew is saying, but if there was maybe more strict standards as to what an all-star player is, then I could understand.
Can say that LeBron had stacked teams. Yeah. Jordan had other Hall of Fame. Like they all had much more talent around them than he has. So that's something you got that balances things out.
Go ahead, Wild.
I'll support you. And I'll ask you this question. If he plays phenomenal next year, better than this year, and you look at by the numbers, probably deserves his 4th MVP, which would be tied with LeBron, but he doesn't get to the finals this year, are we going to give him a 4th MVP? Like, man, we're giving him 4 MVPs, and he's got the finals once and won?
I don't think
it seems like his MVPs are capped.
If he loses this round, he won't get the MVP next season, no matter how good he plays.
After this, unless you have playoff success.
Well, SGA is going to enter next season with a head start on the MVP.
Exactly.
Well, just like Joker entered this season with a head start.
I don't know. Anthony Edwards might enter next season with the biggest head start.
You know
what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. But Anthony Edwards, SGA, maybe Luka.
He passed.
Jokic would have to be so far out in front of everybody.
But here's the thing. He's not capped because he's at 3.
Yeah, if he wins the championship.
Right. He's capped if they get bounced this round and he's at 3.
What about next round?
Then yes. If they get bounced next round, maybe not. Because it's going to take what people are.
They're
what
not getting
I am
past
saying
the
is
Timberwolves.
I saw all the folks the moment they lose a game 2, they're like, oh, all the Jokic haters are going to be back out. Guys, I don't think there are actually Jokic haters anymore. And there's not a person out there that's like, guy's not good. Guy's overrated. No one's saying that. There are folks, I am one of them, that just want to know, has he somehow evolved to a level of greatness greater than every other player ever where they are immune to criticism?
How's he immune to criticism, though?
Because what I'm saying,
I just don't understand that.
I think that every other guy in his neighborhood, if they found themselves as the overwhelming favorites against a young team that's done nothing in a series, and they lose their first game, and then they're facing a must-win where that team is not at full strength, and you look lethargic, disengaged, and now your season's on the brink, it would have been wall-to-wall coverage these last 3 days.
Okay, I want to address this real fast. I feel like I addressed this a little bit in the other day when we were talking about this, because what Nick Wright is saying, there is a lot of truth to. right? Like if this was Steph, if this was LeBron. But that's because they are popular players. So the popular players get that wall-to-wall criticism. Not to mention, especially LeBron James, when you're considering LeBron to be the GOAT, then you nickel and dime him for every little thing that doesn't benefit that GOAT conversation. That's why someone like LeBron gets ripped apart. And Steph Curry is so wildly popular, that's why then you would then pull him down. And any of these other players, whether it be the Kobe's and the Shaqs of the world. Jokic is different. Because, look how Jokic even did his interview, his press conference, when he was just like, yeah, I don't really pay attention, blah, 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 blah. It's just one of those things where he just seems disengaged from the NBA conversation as a whole. And he doesn't have the same level of popularity that these other players have. He's obviously popular, but there's different levels to this popularity. LeBron is next level. Steph Curry is next level. Kobe, Shaq, Iverson, those players were next level popular. They drove the clicks. Jokic doesn't. Whether it's because he's international, because it's his personality, because he's not controversial enough, like whatever it is, that's why they don't talk about it as much. That's why he doesn't get criticized as much, quite honestly. Some of these other players can bring on that criticism, like LeBron James having a tattoo saying the chosen one, and say, okay, if you are the chosen one, then you better perform. And if you don't, everyone's going to hear, he puts the crown on his head. That's inviting criticism when you don't, reach expectations. So that's what I think happens with Jokic. That's why people are less likely to criticize, to criticize him. Because he wins a championship and then he just wants to go race horses or whatever the heck he wants to do. He doesn't want to go all around the country dancing, singing, saying, that's right, they doubted us. They said we couldn't do it. I'm not supposed to be here. Here I go. He's not saying those things, so he's not building that up. Right? It's like they always say, the more they build you up, the more likely now they want to rip you back down. And he's not building himself up. He really doesn't. Which I think is I both hate and don't like so much. I mean, I both like and don't like so much. I like it from his own personal aspect, but it's also like when he won and then he didn't even want to go to the parade. I hated that because it's dude, that's part of this experience. You're supposed to feel like you did this for the city, that you're part of it, that you're helping the community and all that. And the fact that, he said the quiet part out loud, he genuinely does not care. That's why he had to then go and apologize about it. And it's well, dude, we fans want to feel like you care, just as much, if not more than the fans care. Right? That is what fans want to see. You want to see that if your team loses, your players lose or players win, you want them to have the same emotion as the fans. And Jokic does not have that. So his successes and his failures land differently. So I get what Nick is saying, and what he's saying, there is a lot of truth to it, but I think that there is a reason for it more than just, oh, well, we're just giving Jokic a pass for the sake of giving him a pass. I don't think it's that simple. But those are just my thoughts. I would absolutely love to hear yours. What do you think? Do you think Jokic is getting a pass with, his failures right now so far, and especially being the MVP? What do you make of Jokic's lack of rings if he now has 3 MVPs and only 1 ring? Let me know in the comments below whether you agree with me or disagree with me. I read every single comment, so let's get in some discussions. Let's get in some fights, but ultimately, let's just have some fun. And please do consider subscribing. We are building an amazing community here, and I would absolutely love to see you part of it. I want to build something that we all genuinely feel connected to. Something that we're really excited to be part of, and I think we're well on our way to doing it. And please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, as it really does help with the visibility and the algorithm. Thank you so much, and see you next time.